It's September 1942, and in Italian-controlled Libya, a British Special Forces unit is about to launch an audacious raid on an airfield hundreds of miles behind enemy lines. The long-range desert group's primary role was as a reconnaissance unit, and their day-to-day work didn't naturally lend itself to confrontation with the enemy. However, they were occasionally employed in a more offensive role, particularly when they began their collaboration with the SAS in the latter half of 1942. One of the most celebrated raids from this period occurred in September 1942 and was part of a series of coordinated attacks designed to weaken Axis lines of communication ahead of the El Alamein offensive. Operation Agreement consisted of a combined arms attack by the Special Boat Service and SAS on Tobruk, with the secondary raids by the SAS in Benghazi and the Sudan Defence Force at Jelo Oasis, and the LRDG at Bas. Security, however, was poor, and news of the raids almost certainly leaked to the enemy, resulting in the failure of all but one of the raids. The attack on the airfield at Bas, codenamed Operation Caravan, was an exclusively LRDG affair and was the most successful of the 4 raids. The plan drawn up by Captain Easonsmith was simple. They would attack at night using the cover of darkness to give them every advantage possible. Patrol T1 under Captain Wilder would then break into the airfield and destroy as many aircraft and buildings as possible with a combination of gunfire, sticky bombs and charges. Meanwhile, Easonsmith would sever Italian communications in and around Bas and hold off any Italian counterattack with Patrol G1. Italian forces in the area were significant, and in a straight fight the LRDG would have been hopelessly outmatched. They were spotted several times on their 1,850-kilometre journey towards their target, and Italian intelligence reports grew as the raiders approached Bas. However, the intelligence was patchy, sometimes contradictory, and the Italian commanders in the area did not give sufficient credence to reports from local tribesmen. When I first ran this game as a demo at the Broadside Show in 2017, I used a heavily adapted and streamlined version of a commercially available set of rules. I was never 100% happy with this compromise, although it worked well on the day. For this solo game, I decided to start from scratch and wrote a bespoke rule set that I felt would better replicate the unique nature of this particular engagement. The main challenge for any set of rules is that on paper, the Italians massively outnumber the LRDG. However, these forces are dispersed throughout the Bas command area, and despite all the intelligence available to the Italians, the raids still seem to come as a complete surprise. Most of the Italian command therefore start the game in reserve and arrive on table randomly throughout the game. The challenge for the Italian commander is how to concentrate their forces before the LRDG destroy their targets and escape. The game begins with the LRDG moving onto the board in 2 columns. Each patrol consists of 6 Chevy trucks with a commander in a jeep. The first patrol, T1, is commanded by Captain Wilder and follows the main road down from the heights towards the town of Bas. Their plan is to pass through the centre in the most direct route to the airfield. They don't expect to encounter resistance, but they do expect to be spotted. The second patrol is under the commander Captain Easonsmith, who takes a different route to bypass the town entirely. They cross the railway line and cut several wires in the process. Easonsmith's task is now to hold off Italian resistance, attacking targets of opportunity where he can, before assisting in the escape of Wilder's patrol once the main objectives on the airfield have been achieved. The shooting starts and the alarms begin to sound when Wilder's patrol are spotted racing out of the darkness down the main road through Bas. As they pass the Italian Sector HQ building, they rake it with their twin Lewis MGs. The LRDG use a mix of bullets including tracer, incendiary and explosive rounds, so this brief attack causes a fire in the building. Smoke soon billows from the central courtyard and the Italian flag on the roof collapses. It won't be until the next turn when the first Italian units appear on the table. A company of infantry are billeted in Bas, but they won't be able to make any actions until the following turn as they scramble to respond to this rude awakening. Wilder's patrol races towards the main gate of the airfield and shoots up the gatehouse and one of several infantry positions scattered around the perimeter of the site. They then smash through the barrier and begin fanning out across the airfield. Once inside, Wilder's patrol splits into 2 groups, One group under Wilder himself heads down the parked aircraft on the left of the airfield. The other group runs down the aircraft on the right. Both groups then meet at the end of the runway and plan on laying charges to take out some of the critical infrastructure of the site. Italian reserves are rolled for each turn using a D6. A roll of 1 means no reserves arrive. The direction of their arrival is also diced for, and they are placed on the table edge, which counts as their action this turn, and their action token is placed next to them. At the end of the turn, the token, along with any others that have been used, go back in the pot. The LRDG start the game with 2 action tokens, 1 for each patrol, and the Italians start with 1 for the airfield security personnel. As the game progresses and more reserves arrive, the Italians gradually get more action tokens, which when pulled from the pot can be used to activate any unit on the table, making it easier for them to coordinate their forces as the game progresses and they get over the shock of the surprise attack. While Captain Wilder's patrol has been on the airfield, beginning its mission to blow up everything in sight, Captain Easonsmith's patrol has been circling around the outside of the main gate and engaged several Italian units as they converge. 2 LRDG vehicles are destroyed, but both crews manage to bail out and are picked up by others in the patrol. They inflict some casualties on the Italians, but more importantly, they delay the Italian reserves by a couple of turns. Easonsmith then takes his patrol back the way they came towards the plateau. They loop behind Bass to keep an escape route open for Wilder. Wilder's patrol inside the airfield have by now shot up most of the aircraft and set some fuel storage alight with their incendiary rounds. Now the 2 halves of his patrol merge back together and begin laying charges on some of the critical buildings. To do this they need to make contact with their target, moving away the next turn, but in neither turn can they fire their guns. Once they move away, the charges blow and the building is destroyed. In this game the control tower and 3 hangars are destroyed with charges. With most of their objectives achieved, Wilder decides it's getting too hot for his unarmoured trucks. Picking a route out of the airfield, they pour fire into the workshops as they go. They then smash through the perimeter fence, losing 2 more vehicles in the process, and begin the perilous dash for the Jebel Akbar. Wilder's patrol have to run a gauntlet of fire from the Italian defenders in Bass. Despite losing another vehicle, they return a deadly hail of fire with the last of their ammo and aim for the pass up to the heights. The remaining LRDG vehicles reach the pass. Gunning their engines, they race up the steep road and disappear into the darkness. This ended the game, but of course back in 1942, the action was far from over. After the success of the raid followed the cost. The LRDG were not able to make a completely clean getaway, and after their initial sluggish response, Italian forces were finally able to mount an effective pursuit. The LRDG were to suffer significant losses as the Italians harassed their escape routes and attacked them from the air. In the final analysis, Italian commanders should have been better prepared. The result was that when the raid started, wildly dispersed Italian forces were slow to react, allowing most of the LRDG vehicles to escape the immediate area. However, following the raid, they were able to mobilise aircraft to track and bomb the escaping raiders. Based on LRDG reports, it is thought that the raid destroyed or damaged 32 aircraft, mainly bombers, although official Italian figures say just 16 aircraft were destroyed and 7 damaged. Airfield infrastructure was also badly hit, with hangars, service buildings, barracks and telegraph lines destroyed or damaged beyond repair. Probably the most significant impact, however, was on Italian morale. They'd been badly mauled by a force that struck out of the dark and then seemed to vanish back into the night. The Italians came to describe the LRDG as Pattuglia Fantasma, or ghost patrols. In future, significant resources would have to be used to protect important military sites many hundreds of miles behind the supposed front lines. For their part in the operation, there were a number of gallantry awards. Easonsmith and Wilder were awarded the Distinguished Service Order. Captain Lawson the Military Cross, Corporal Craw and Troopers Tippett and Dobson received the Military Medal, the highest medal tally for any single LRDG action.